Hey everybody, Jason Talanian. I'm going to run through a snowboard binding concept. It was initially not designed for adaptive snowboarding, but in this video we're going to describe how it could potentially be designed for adaptive snowboarding. So I'm starting off here with a regular 4x4 hole configuration, what we see on most snowboards. Many snowboards also have a 2x2, which will offer some more flexibility in the width of the stance. I'm going to explain the binding in three different components. First is this part. This is the base plate with backstop and pivot. This is what gets mounted on the board first. I have a more trimmed down version, but I want to describe it in best I can. So there's a hole pattern that you see on here where you can adjust the distance towards the heel edge to wherever you want. This snowboard I happen to have laying here is directional in this way. That's the front of the board over there. In this case, you would mount this as close as you can to the heel side edge because your heel is going to end up like right here. So we'd pick out which holes work best, and based on the stance, we'd decide where we want it to go. Let's say that we settle on right here. So that would get mounted into the board using 4 or maybe even 6 holes, or 6 of the inserts on the board going through these holes here. From there, we move on to the the footbed. This is the footbed piece. There's 3 points of contact or 3 points of fastening this footbed in. I don't need to get into that right now, but you can see that you have the traditional 2 straps here, the ankle strap, the toe strap. This can be adjusted to any angle you want based on the width of the board. So in all cases, the heel stays real close to the heel side edge, but you're going to move this in this fashion to get the toe side to the shallowest angle you can. In this case, maybe we're on this particular board, this board happens to be 25.5 centimeters at the waist. If you use a board of this width, then you might end up with angles, depending on the size of your boot, you might end up with angles anywhere from 15 degrees up to 25 degrees, whatever. But it can go in either direction, by the way. Goofy or regular riders can be accommodated. In this case, we're talking about a goofy rider. Okay, so the footbed gets mounted on there in the proper position. And now here comes the next component. So this is a pivot, and it's designed so that the axis of this pivot goes directly through the rider's ankle. And so it can move forward, and it can move fore and aft towards the tip of the board, towards the tail of the board, but it's not allowed to move in the lateral direction. When you try and move it in the lateral direction, it'll lever the heel side edge or the toe side edge. And so this is designed, I wanted to show you like without the cuff on it, but I'm going to now show you the version with the cuff on it. So this version has the cuff on it. It's essentially a third strap, again, but it allows forward and aft motion, but not lateral motion, because anytime you're going to lever it in the lateral direction, either way, you're going to apply pressure to the edge and be able to create a carve or a turn or a... Okay, so this was designed not for adaptive snowboard riding necessarily, but instead for the regular rider that would want this at the top of their boot. However, prior to testing this model, I had a different version that had a taller cuff, and this is where the adaptive aspect may or may not come in. This gets mounted on the top here, and the first version that I rode actually had this going around the leg, directly on the leg, with a pad in there, by the way, but directly on the leg, just below the knee. And it works. You can ride it. It's very rideable. You can carve with it. I actually rode it on a 19 centimeter width board and was able to carve down the mountain on it. It's a slightly different kind of riding because you really have to drive with your knees. So there's there's a bit of a learning curve associated with that. But you can see how this would then wrap around the leg, something like this. this is an older version that's really not kind of what I'm talking about today. But the concept is that this elongated arm, when mounted on top of the pivot, can then come up to anything. So what I mean by that is, if you've ever seen knee braces where there's maybe two straps at the top of your leg, two straps at the lower portion of your leg, and then there's a pivot here on the knee. Maybe some elongated arm like this mounts onto that pivot point. Maybe it mounts onto something that's mounted on the rider's thigh. I'm not really sure. I've never dug into that, and I need to talk to people that are more experienced about that part of it. But there is the possibility, I'm gathering, that this concept with the vertical pivot like this could potentially work for some type of adaptive snowboarding. Thanks for your time.